Hello, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle. Welcome to the Sunday show. To another episode here. Back from last Sunday, we didn't have a show on Thursday night for a couple of reasons. I was just tired, and on Friday I became an uncle again. So, congratulations to my brother and sister-in-law who have a newborn baby boy, and I will do everything I can to make him a gooner. Everything I can to make him a gooner in the future. Um, yeah, we might be good again in another 19 years, Alonso. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're coming into a window now where Arsenal will be in the ascendancy, and the episode today is March into April. So, Alonso, how are you doing? And our March was pretty good. The last calendar month was pretty good with wins: Everton, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Crystal Palace.
Hi, Ray. How you guys doing? Hey, Stan. Hello, everyone in the chat box. Yeah, I mean, it's been impressive. We picked up points we needed to. Though we didn't really execute throughout the league. I think we realize now that the league's more important. To get to where we need to be as a club, and we're us fans want to see Arsenal in the future, which is Champions League, where we belong. So yeah, I'm excited about what the next 10 games have in store for us, and hopefully, City drop points, but we can't count on them to drop points. We just got to worry about what Arsenal do in the next 10 games, and hopefully win the trophy, or win the league rather.
The next 10 games are going to be nerve-wracking as we go into April. April is going to have a big bearing on what we're going to do in this title race, as we will face teams. Who's it? Leeds, Liverpool, Southampton, Chelsea, City. So it's going to have a big bearing on where the destination of the league title goes. But as far as we wait for people to join us after the England game, we'll have a little chat about Bukayo Saka. We'll have a little bit of chat about England, Southgate. We'll talk about the Interlull. I want to talk about Odegaard versus Ozil. I think that's a discussion triggered from Mesut Ozil's official retirement. And then we'll have a little chat about Gabriel Jesus and Trossard. But Stan, what are your thoughts on the March that we just had? Wins over those teams that you can see down below.
Well, at the end of the day, we're 8 points clear and we're sitting top of the league. No complaints from me. Everything seems to be going on schedule. We're in the end game now. We're into the last 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's going to be very soon where we're going to be. There's only 5 games to go. Before we know where we are, we're going to go. There's only 5 games to go. So,
yeah.
It's going to be interesting now. This final running. We've got no other games in the way, no other competitions in the way. We're back to playing on a Saturday, which is a big help. I think the only thing that can really scupper us would be suspensions or injuries.
And that might lead us on very nicely to England and Bukayo Saka, Gareth Southgate, and all of those things. But we'll get into that in just a second. Wins over Everton 4-0. We all know what happened to Bournemouth with Reiss Nelson stepping forward, and we're having parts of our season helped along by squad players. Reiss Nelson stepping forward with a winner against Bournemouth. We had it in February at Aston Villa, where Jorginho scored the goal right at the end. And I wanted to add some more facile wins to this, so the narrative wasn't all about Arsenal being so lucky and those last-minute winners being part of something very special this year. So, Stan, I'm glad that we're winning games. 3-0 against Fulham, 4-0 against Everton, 4-1 against Crystal Palace. Some of those very comprehensive wins, right?
Well, it seems we've kind of picked up, because even though we've been sitting at the top of the league all season, we had a lot of games, didn't we, where we would start off behind and have to make these comebacks. And we were saying, I think it was only maybe a month ago, maybe a little bit less, that we were saying we really need to see Arsenal, taking games by the neck from the very beginning. You know, a stranglehold on the game and scoring goals. We seem to be doing that now. You know, we're winning games quite convincingly, but with a bit to spare, almost. I mean,
Indeed.
you know what I'm going to be looking forward to? You know, at the end of the season, when they bring out a DVD or probably digital now, right, of the season, it's going to be some exciting games to look back over because we've had all sorts, haven't we? We've had games where we've had to grab a winner right at the last moment of the game, almost the last kick of the game. We've had games where we've started off maybe 2 goals behind, and we're like, how are we going to get out of this? And we've ended up, winning the game. And then we've had other games where it's just been, champagne football from start to finish.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite a highlight reel.
I think also, Alonso, what we have discussed at length on this channel, and maybe many other podcasts have discussed the same thing, that our squad is not big enough to maintain a double, an attempt at 2 trophies at once, FA Cup plus the league, or the Europa League plus the Premier League. I'd rather be very comprehensively ahead in one of those competitions rather than just being competitive in both. And if I'm going to sit here at the end of the season and we've won a Premier League title, or even if it's gotten very, very close to the last day of the season, we would have made the right decisions in terms of Mikel Arteta clearly did not pick a full squad in the Europa League games this month. And we have pretty much focused our attentions on the league here.
Yeah, and I remember whenever Wenger, we used to do that all the time when we played FA Cup or sometimes in Premier League where he didn't really pick his best squads. And this showed that, financially we were always in a bind. At least that's what his excuse was. But now I think Arteta kind of has this team now where he has a certain 11, and at times, he doesn't really make the right decisions to maybe go forward with advancing in the next tournament or so. But maybe it's a learning experience for him. But I think it's important to note that maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, he didn't really have his full starting 11 in previous years where he could constantly use that. But now he finally has a strong starting 11, and even some backups as well can be used in starting 11 as well. So, that's comes with experience with and not knowing what to do in the past, where he has a strong team now and he can build off that. So next year he knows he could rotate better, perhaps. So yeah, because we're going to be Champions League. Hopefully, the next 5 games we could be Champions League. So yeah, I mean it'd be useful to have your backups ready to play too.
Yeah, and listen, I want to shout out to Mikel Arteta as well. Happy birthday to the gaffer, to the boss. It is 41 years old today. And as Alonso said, a few years ago, it was not pretty. We were doing podcasts talking about the likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette, Guendouzi, Bellerin, Mustafi, all of these players stand. So we've come a long way. It's been 3 years. We've had to do it slowly. But we pretty much had to do more work at this club than many other clubs have had to do.
Well, we spent quite a lot of money over the last few seasons. I think it was only the last window we spent the window before that we spent the most of any other team. But this, you were talking about only being in one competition, but next season, I think, we're going to have to swell the squad some more because it's going to be a lot of outgoings. I was reading something where they're talking about, Cedric, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Nicolas Pepe, perhaps Kieran Tierney.
Pablo Mari.
Yeah, Pablo Mari's another one. That's 5 right there that we're looking to shed from the squad. So how many people are we going to be bringing in? Because we're kind of just about managing now, and we've managed to add a little bit more quality, but we're still looking to maybe add something to the first 11, aren't we? Let alone the backup. So it's going to be interesting to see how we overhaul and bring more people in for those competitions that are going to be coming up. And then, you've got to think that maybe somebody like Charlie Patino, and there's going to maybe a couple of others in the youth academy that may start making appearances in the Carabao Cup, training with the first team. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a very different looking Arsenal at the beginning of next season than what you're looking at today.
Lonzo?
Yeah, Stan. So you mentioned like Travertino, right? And I think another youngster to look out for is Marco Flores, the young Mexican national. I think he's also re-signed, right? Is a contract extension.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
But also as well, Flo Balogun is another one. You know, is
Yeah.
he going to get an opportunity in the pre-season before any decision is made? I like to think so.
Me too. I think that what we also have is very good youngsters as well come up from the academy,
Yeah.
and I think Arteta realizes that, or should I say, 20's academy kids. So so yeah, just seeing them in the future as bright as they have. I think there's also a right back there at Arsenal, the U18s, that is pretty good as well. I forgot his name, but it seems like the future's very bright for the academy too. So.
I
I
saw a very interesting stat or meme or whatever you want to call it, and it was basically, you know, Manchester United paid around 80 million for Anthony, and if you combine Saka, Martinelli, and Gabriel Jesus, it comes to far less than that for the front three. So it kind of shows you, you know, how we're kind of like building this team, you know. And if there's a few more that are hanging around the youth academy, I mean, somebody like Reece Nelson, you know, he's still got 10 games to go. He could make an imprint on the team whereby he now becomes part of the squad, and that means that's another player that we don't necessarily have to spend money on to bring in as a wide player, because he's deemed good enough to maybe pick up the slack.
Yeah, and will come in wherever Saka does not play, but that apparently with Arteta and with Southgate, Saka plays every minute apparently. But to talk to what Stan and Alonso have been saying, we're gonna be selling a lot of these loan players. Pepe was one of them.
Tavares, another one. Tavares, they're saying.
Yeah, we were, and Lokonga maybe we'll see.
Maybe Lokonga, that's another one.
Yeah.
Another one.
So we can see where United have been overspending. We overspent for Pepe and Arteta. I can't really point to a case where you could say Arteta has been wrong in the last 2-3 years in making the decision on players after Willian. Let's say after Willian
notwithstanding.
Willian notwithstanding. But to your point, we're going to buy a couple of players, and I think some of these players like Balogun, maybe not Charlie Patino, but in the future, he's going to come in. Maybe a couple of players will come back. Balogun may be part of the squad. We'll get through a few comments here so we can keep pace with everyone. Craig has said Saka has reached an entirely different level now. Too much sauce. Ballon d'Or is literally a stone throw away for our young baller. The individual accolades will come for him as well, and we want him to be part of the collective accolades, winning titles now.
His stats go right into, not just even in the UK. You know, his stats are smashing it in Europe.
Around Europe, yeah. I think he was the first player to reach double digits in both goals and assists throughout Europe. But Kai's talent is truly frightening, says I. Morning to Stan. Stephen is here. How's it all? Yeah, we need proper football back on Saturday. All we need to do is play by the rules, says Russ. And I guess that ties in a little bit to what you were saying about suspension, Stan.
It all depends. If the rules seem to be changing, don't they?
Whatever the rules, the referees deem to be the rules, right? Arsenal's remaining fixtures: Leeds, Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton, City, and Chelsea. That's all in the month of April. And then we finish May with Newcastle.
Mr. Tom's ears perked up there for a second.
Who's that?
So Mr. Tom's ears perked up there for a second. What you talking about, Willis?
Yes, he's here. He's here. Good morning, afternoon.
He's there. He's effing everywhere, Mr. Tom. Mr. Tom.
And Mr. Tom knows I'm so glad the Leeds won the last game because, you know, we need the points. You're 14th, Leeds. Leeds are 14th. Just got home from work and time to relax. Good evening from British summertime, London, where it is still light. Pity the weather is behaving as though it is a winter. Saka got through at England versus Ukraine match without an injury. So, Alonso.
Hi.
Why does Bukayo Saka have to play every minute of every game?
Because he's that cool. Nah, I mean, he just has a presence around him. I think, whenever you cemented your place on England's side, which at first he didn't. He was always coming off the bench or starting some games, leaving getting off some games and coming off the bench some games. So I think, Southgate respects that. I think that he sees that, this guy's very talented. And I think, coming from Arsenal, I think there was a time in a place where we didn't have a lot of guys playing for England coming from Arsenal. So I think Southgate sees that as potentially generational talent at Arsenal, and he wants to use them as any way he can. And but I mean, it's kind of neat having that presence there all the time instead of just some games here and there. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see what he could do on the international level as well.
Stephen said it's unfortunate we couldn't keep our players from playing international duty. Saka just played another pointless, unnecessary 180 minutes of football. Hope Arteta's pissed and lets Southgate know it. Aren't these qualification matches for the Euros?
They're qualifiers, aren't they?
Yeah. So in a sense, they are important to Gareth Southgate. But come on, Stan, does he have to play? Did he play 90 minutes? I know he didn't come off after 70 minutes.
I've not watched either game. I can't even tell you how he played. I know that I don't really watch international games that much. I think for me that gets in the way of the important stuff, which is club football. But he probably plays them all of the time, because who plays in that position when he's not there then? Who's the next person to play on the right-hand side? Who is it?
Is it Foden, I think?
I mean, you could play Madison out there. You could play
Foden.
There's many other players. Bellingham could play out there as well.
Plus when every time he's played for Southgate, he has produced for him.
Yes.
It's not like he he makes things happen. If it's not assists, it's goals. And I suppose that's what the manager wants. He's been man of the match on his debut, right? His debut at the World Cup and his debut at the Euros.
Yep.
Man of the match. So he's the real deal. He makes things happen, and I suppose he's too valuable to at the moment for Southgate, because he regularly does contribute.
And Stan, he did have an assist for Harry Kane for the first goal, and he did score a wonderful left-footed curling strike into the top left-hand corner for the second he scored. So he's had a goal and assist today. And Stephen, the Arsenal Misfit, just said here in the chat box that he played every minute of both games, Stan. So you get into a 2-0 position, Southgate doesn't bring him off, and we've had players like Haaland and Foden now being protected by Pep Guardiola, and they didn't play international games.
But as you say, maybe they are injured because these aren't friendlies; these are qualifying games, and footballers want to play in those matches because they want to go to the tournament. They're part of the qualifiers, and they do. I mean, all right, maybe someone like Haaland, you're taking him anyway, right? Do you know what I mean? But generally, I think players want to play in those games.
Yeah, and I believe Haaland turned up at the Norway setup, but was deemed to have a groin injury. But come on, I'm going to say on Saturday morning, the first game out the door, Haaland's going to be playing for City against.
I don't know, man. If you're Norway and you're the medical staff and coaching staff, and he turns up and you check him over, you telling me that they don't want him to play? They're like, of course they want Haaland to play. It's Norway.
Yeah.
They've only, it's not like they've got stars all over the pitch, or do you know what I'm getting at? He has to. He's the poster boy for the whole country.
Definitely.
So I don't see them sort of like going, yeah, okay, don't worry, Pep. Yeah, no, maybe a friendly. I don't even think it happens there, but he's obviously got an injury then, because I was like you initially. I thought it was friendlies. I thought I meant friendlies, but yeah, they are in qualifications, and players want to play in them, and the managers of those teams want their best players.
Handon Gunner said, "Man, does even consider selling Kieran Tierney? If anything, we need a better quality squad for next season. As it is, Lokonga, Tavares, Marquinhos are going to be sold as they just aren't cutting the mustard."
I just
thing
heard
with
somebody just talking about Tierney there. Somebody tweeted something that I read yesterday. And I'm kind of paraphrasing. It said something like they were talking about Tierney, and I was reading through the thread, and someone said it's just that Arsenal have improved so much that Tierney is now like medium, sort of not. We've outgrown him. Yeah, he was good when he came in, sort of thing.
yes,
When we
yeah,
bought him, where we were, but where we are
yep,
now, we've gone.
down to a different level.
Yeah, I can't remember how they put it. They put it a lot better than I explained it, but I was kind of thinking maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, Hendon Gunnar admiring how Taib is fasting for Ramadan. So everyone who's celebrating Ramadan, hopefully they have a good month and happy Eid to everybody. Come on, Ray. You know that an English player will never win it. Holland will win the Ballon d'Or. There could be something into that. We talked about this last week. Alonso, here's the setup. Erling Haaland scores 50 goals, but Bukayo Saka scores 15 goals, and Arsenal win the Premier League. What do you think of that, Stan? Erling Haaland could score more goals, but Bukayo Saka could be more influential for the team.
But the difference there is that the 50 goals, for example, that Haaland scores, ours are spread around.
Mm-hmm.
So you may get the 10 or 15 from Saka, but you're going to get that for Martinelli. That's 30. Odegaard's going to be chipping in with some. Do you know what I mean? It's maybe 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's 40 there. Then you've got Gabriel Jesus, Eddie Nketiah, Trossard, who come in with some. You've also got our defenders like Gabriel, who comes in regularly with goals. Did you see what I mean? It's just a different way of getting to the same destination. And I kind of prefer that. I prefer that kind of variety. It makes it more exciting to watch the game. I'm not dismissing. I'm not diminishing what Haaland does. But when you watch a Man City game now, you're looking for everything to get to Haaland, aren't you? To see where Haaland's going to score. But with us, it's more exciting because the goals can pop up from anywhere. It's more entertaining.
Yeah. And City have won the league in past seasons by spreading goals around. Alonso, City have been doing this. All of their players have been getting 10 goals, not what Haaland's scoring now. And teams just need to stop Haaland now. Maybe stop Foden, maybe stop De Bruyne. But if they do that, they're not going to. The chances of getting a point or winning the game against City increase for them.
Yeah, and it's a shame that Arsenal didn't win whenever we played them. Anyway, but yeah, like you said, Ray, I think now City have a great striker in Haaland, and it's not like they're blowing teams away either. Some games they have, but you're seeing like 1-0 wins and 1-1 draws and 2-0 wins, and it's not like they're like blowing people out the water either. So I think with Arsenal, like you guys have been saying, like they have multiple 10 goal scorers and also assist playmakers. And I think only if they could defend Holland, they have weapons as well. So we're similar like them, where we have all kind of scoring threats. And I remember someone saying, well, I think I read on Twitter or something like that Holland is not really 100%, but they still have Alvarez, and he could score well too. So I think team for team, I think we could play them, but it depends on how we play them defensively.
Yeah, exactly. Liverpool is going to have an impact on the title race in the next couple of weeks. We play Leeds on Saturday after Liverpool have faced off against City. Liverpool will play City away from home on Saturday. Then they have to go to Chelsea in midweek, Stan, and play away from home. And then we get them the following week. Arsenal have to go to Liverpool. But Liverpool will have played City and Chelsea, I'm wondering if that's going to be a slight advantage to us in the title race.
Liverpool's in the mud, basically, aren't they?
Mhm.
I mean,
But-
other than the 7-0 against Man United, I mean, I don't know how bad Man United were playing on that day, but other than that, they're all over the place. They've got big problems going on at Liverpool, and probably like the one at Chelsea, that'll probably end a draw, 1-1, or
Yeah.
could even be a 0-0 or 1-1 because Chelsea aren't doing bits either.
No.
Graham
And
Potter still doesn't know who his best 11 is out of the 5 million that he's got to choose from.
Yeah, the big thing with Liverpool this past season has been their home form has been much better than their away form. But our away form has been busted as well, Stan.
But in saying that, it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool were able to give Man City a game.
Exactly. I mean, that's
and
I think,
maybe not win the game, but you never know. They could maybe peg them to a draw.
I think coming back fresh, and Liverpool will play City first, and we'll know by the time we face off with Leeds on Saturday morning what we need to do. But Liverpool could, in fact, take some points against City. City have not been that dominating force. Now, we've done our thing as well. Like City have not been bad because we've been good. We've just been good.
They've had some trip ups along the way though this season, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've not been looking as smooth as they have in the past. They haven't looked like they've been in cruise control so much as they have in previous years. And I'm not sure whether that's been fixed yet. Do you know what I mean? That there may be in these last 10 games, they may drop some points unexpectedly, which could be to our advantage.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm praying for as well. I'm hoping for that.
There's the index. I think the Opta index shows that their run-in is just as difficult as ours. And that's what the Opta index is saying. On paper, it looks a little bit easier. Don Juan's in the house. Come on, you Gunners. Starboy shines again. Don Juan says, yeah, because Saka shines again on international stage. The only issue is that he's not getting any kind of rest either from Arteta or Gareth Southgate. Craig AFC 87 says Arsenal need to win 8 out of 10. I think 7 out of 10 could do it for 90 points. Craig wants to see 93 points. And listen, City can only make 94 points right now. So I think they're going to drop some points, as Stan said.
Really? That's what they could clean up to is 94.
If they win out, they can get 94 points.
And what about us? And us would be
99. If we win out, we'll get 99 points. We had that 5-point advantage.
So then for me, 95 seems like the magic number.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's the number
that's the number where they can't do anything. Yeah,
we
get 95 points and that's it. Over. End of story.
And how many points have we got now? I'm trying to work this all out now.
Here's the crazy thing, Stan.
So we would need another
7 wins for 90.
We would need about another 34 points.
Well, we have 10 games left. 24 points, I think, you're thinking about.
Okay.
Which would be 8 wins, right? Out of the 10. So yeah, listen, we just need to take it. I know we're a podcast, so I'm going to talk about the entirety of it, but really the players just need to take it one game at a time. That old cliche, one game at a time, right?
And they say that in their interviews. So they're all sort of towing the line and saying that. I mean, who knows what they're saying behind closed doors? They must be excited, but I think that's how they're looking at it. They look to the next game, take care of business there. Then you look to the next one. I mean, it almost seems like every week we go, the next game, man, so important. So important. We say every week. They're all important.
Yeah, Don Juan says 8 out of 10 ain't enough. We need the 9 out of 10. Craig cannot see City dropping points from here. Listen, it's do or die now, Craig. They're into the last 11 games. They have that extra game in hand on us. City will drop points too. It's really down to
the football gods
trying to gather as many. Yeah, the football gods trying to gather as many points as possible, but They have to face up against. They have an FA Cup game coming. They have to face up against Bayern Munich,
And
it's
they've
not
also
going to
got
be easy.
big, and they've also, I would think that they've got bigger fish to fry if you're Man City, as in the prize that everybody wants there, the prize that their owners want there is the Champions League.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
been
Pep
that one
Guardiola.
thing that's eluded their project, which they've spent quite, heavily invested into this project. So, again, maybe that could be a distraction which will help us.
Yeah,
They come off
exactly.
the back of a bad game in that, and it follows through into the league, or because of rotation, they have to do something else. If they're doing really good and it looks like they're going for it, and they're distracted distracted from that competition, could be a blessing.
Pep Guardiola, the remit for him being City manager is to bring home that Champions League trophy. He's been there a number of years, has not done it yet. He bought Haaland for that specific issue, is to gain, not have another Real Madrid like last season where they went out 5-4 on aggregate, I think it was. But let's look back over our season a little bit. This is a little bit like the three-headed monster, right? The Arsenal three-headed monster.
Okay.
The Hydra, Jesus, and Kedia and Trossard. They've all had stints up front playing a striker. Alonso. Gabriel Jesus started things off with those 14 games before the World Cup, before he got injured. We cut a very good pace here. 12 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss with Gabriel Jesus up front, and 5 goals, 5 assists. Inspired us to 37 points out of 42 points. Not bad from Gabriel Jesus, Alonso.
No, and I think once Jesus went down, I think we all panicked as supporters because we didn't know how Eddie would perform. I think because what happened last year or past 2 years, when you give it a chance, or we would think that the Eddie that scored against Chelsea and Leeds and one more game, we would want to see that Eddie perform well. And we had doubts about Eddie. But with Jesus, he performed very well for us. He did all the small things right. And being at number 9 striker, he did pretty well for us coming into the team. And we all had high expectations. But once he went down, we were all nervous on how, if he can continue that run, being at the top of the table.
Yeah, indeed. And look, at the end of this conversation, I want to have a chat about Gabriel Jesus versus Trossard up front. And I believe the last caption here with Trossard, when he's played up front or when he's been in the team, whether it be on the left wing, interchanging with Martinelli. I know we've played teams like Leicester, Everton, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Crystal Palace, but Trossard in the team has garnered 5 wins out of those 5. Now, Stan, speak to a little bit the start we got with Gabriel Jesus, and then Eddie and Kedia coming in after the World Cup.
So here's the question I'd like to ask to everyone. There's 10 games to go. Do we think that Gabriel Jesus can get another 5 goals between now and the end of the season?
I don't think so. It's not looking likely.
How many goals is he on now?
5.
Okay. Because don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the work and the style and everything that Gabriel Jesus brings to the Arsenal team. And I know that he has been out with that injury, which has disrupted his season. But I really want to see more goals coming from him.
Yeah. So Craig does not think so.
Because he does take a lot of chances as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he comes deep and he goes left and he's switching with Martinelli, he does get a lot of chances. So I'm hoping that at some point he can find his shooting boots and get more goals for us. And with 10 games to go, and I would imagine that he will, if he's healthy, he's going to feature, I would imagine, in maybe all of those games, playing one game a week. Can he get 5 goals in 10 appearances? Let's say he has 10 appearances. Can he get 5 goals? You're
Yeah,
telling
and
me
it's
then?
critical.
Are you telling me then? I mean, Craig says no. Part of me agrees with him, part of me doesn't. I'm torn because I'm thinking to myself then, are you telling me then that in one of those 10 games he can't get a brace?
Let's
He can't get
remember.
2 goals. Then he's only got 3 to go. Do you see what I'm getting
uh,
at?
Well, here's the thing, Stan.
What if he has?
Let's.
What if he in those 10 appearances? In those 10 appearances, in 2 of them, he scores a brace.
Well,
I mean,
here's the
can he do
thing.
that? Is he able to do that?
I want everyone else to chime in here. BX Gunner says yes. Don Juan says yes. You have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Will Arteta restore him to the lineup with Trossard, with Martinelli,
Oh
with
yeah,
Saka already
yeah.
in the
I'm
lineup?
gonna say that I'm gonna say yes in 10 appearances. I just talked myself into it. I was thinking no at first, but I think yes now because surely he's capable of getting a brace in a couple of games in 10 appearances. So
My point.
if we get to the
Mhm.
10 appearances and he hasn't scored 5, I'd be a little bit concerned and disappointed.
Now second part of this is, first part is, will Arteta pick him consistently? The second part is, remember, he didn't get an assist, he didn't get a goal for about 10 or 12 games leading up to the World Cup. He was the narrative was building that he hadn't been part of the setup. He hadn't been getting on the score sheet in those 10 games. And then you have to ask yourself, is Trossard better? Happy accidents again, Stan?
Oh,
Gabriel
I see what
Jesus
you're
is
going with
injured.
this. So you're saying that in the snapshot that we've had Trossard, that you think that he's already maybe doing enough to make him more valuable to the team going forward,
Yep.
because you think that per game or per capita, he's bringing more as in an end product, whether it's a goal or an
Yep.
assist.
He's got 1 goal for Arsenal in that Brentford game that you don't want to talk about, right? He got that goal, that 1-1 draw. But since then, he's had 6 assists with Arsenal when he came in. So for me, I think we look better with Trossard up front, Martinelli on the left, Bukayo Saka on the right.
Interesting.
And for me, Gabriel Jesus could be that player who can come off the bench in the second half.
Neither one's going to play for 90 minutes, so we're going to be seeing both of them. So then what we now have is competition for a place now. Some more competition, which may help Gabriel Jesus to find the back of the net more frequently. You never know, right? When you've got somebody chomping at your heels, and it's been rightly earned as well. You know, Trossard's has earned the right to be competitive now.
Yep.
But then again, you could say that with the Trossard figures, is it a little bit skewed? Because although it was an unbelievable record, he did get a hat-trick of assists in one game.
Yep.
You know, it's not like it's spread out.
Yeah, the Fulham game, he scored a goal and he's had 3 other assists in other games as well. Martinelli got 6 and 6, says Don Juan. But a lot of that could be because Trossard was in the lineup. You know, the Martinelli started scoring again, either by helping him, because we know that Trossard assisted for the Leicester goal when Martinelli scored, but competition is spurring Martinelli as well.
Coincidence that everybody was going, oh, Martinelli's not looking, he's looking off his game. Is he tired? He's not looking as good. Any coincidence that period coincided when Eddie was in the team? Eddie comes out of the team, Trossard comes in. We see Martinelli getting back to his old self again, getting productive. So I don't know. Maybe it's just you know.
I see our season as being 3 phases now. You know, Gabriel Jesus, the first 14 games. Eddie Nketiah has come in and helped keep things ticking over. You know, in 9 games, Eddie Nketiah, I think he scored 4 or 5 goals in those 9 games. We won 5 of them. We drew 2, and we lost away to Everton, and we lost at home to Manchester City. You know, and Eddie took his chances against Man United in January, Alonso, but he also missed a couple of really good chances against City as well.
Yeah, and you know, I want to root for Nketiah to do well. I think that he he's one of those guys that is humble and every time he scores, he does that celebration
Noe.
with the phone call, whatever. So it's a shame that he didn't capitalize on those chances because maybe it's a pressure, maybe it's just unlucky. I think he was unlucky not to have scored against City, but he was just that close. But back to Leslie's point about Trezard, I think he brings the other dimension to Arsenal. I think that he is hungry. I think he wants to prove people wrong. From being from Brighton to Arsenal, there's a step up. So I think he wants to prove himself, prove it to the fans that he could be successful at Arsenal. And now you're stuck with the dilemma where they continue starting Trezor over Gabriel Jesus. And that's a good dilemma, I think, to have competition in the number 9 role. So yeah, I think that we're in for a good whoever starts. I think will bring something to the team.
Mm-hmm. As Alonso's laying all of that out, I'm thinking Gabriel Jesus and Keddy and Trossard have sustained our title push all the way through in different ways. And
Yeah,
as
Eddie,
as
don't get me wrong, Eddie did pick up the slack for a bit. He scored some vital goals, but I think what you see with Eddie is a little bit what you see with other players in our squad, like El Neni and Holding. If you've got 10 games and you put them in for 3 of them, you'll get a good performance out of them. If you put them in here and there, but if you play them for a sustained period of time, that's when you start to notice that we've got a band-aid over a crack over a longer period of time. Because of their performance is different for really how the team wants to play, and they slow it up in certain areas, or certain players will suffer because they're not getting the interchanging going with another player, and so forth.
And as you equated Saka, Martinelli, and somebody else to Anthony of Man United, Jesus, yeah, Saka, Martinelli. Now maybe I can equate Jesus and Kedia and Trossard across what Erling Haaland is doing at Man City. By no way means can we add up all of those goals and say it's equal to Erling Haaland, but combined with Martinelli and Saka on the wings, we have sustained ourselves so that we're probably only a couple of goals off in terms of goal difference of Man City now.
I just think that looking at the 3 that you've mentioned that are our number 9, so to speak, or playing that position, Jesus, Trossard, and Eddie Nketiah, I think now that we've got the perfect balance, and it was something that I alluded to in a previous show. If you've got Jesus, who is your main starter in that position, it's because he plays in a certain way and he brings something out of the team and it works. So if he's going to be out through suspension or injury, the guy that has to come in needs to play in the same way so that the team doesn't suffer. And you're replacing the cog for another cog and everything's working smoothly. Then your third striker, he wants to play in a different way altogether. You're a goal down and there's 10 minutes to go. Maybe you bring on a guy that's more in the box, which is like your Eddie Nketiah. So if all 3 of them fit at the same time, I think that we have just the right balance now for our forwards. Because if you start with Gabriel Jesus and you've got to take him off in the 60th minute and you replace him with Trossard, the team's going to continue to play in the same sort of fashion because of the way that they both play, and vice versa. You start Trossard and bring Gabriel on. You need something a little bit different. Now you can put Eddie in. The interesting thing is, for me, is to see what the 4th edition in Flo Balogun, what he's going to be able to bring to the team. Is he going to be able to do something in the pre-season where it's like, hold on a minute, maybe he comes in as the number 2 now?
Interesting.
Do you know what I'm getting at? Or whether he's going to take Eddie's slot. Because when you bring him on, you get more production. It's going to be interesting. But I really want to see Flo Balogun get an opportunity in an Arsenal shirt before any decision is made. Because if you were to sell him for, I don't know, the current market price, you've still got to go out and buy another one. You've got to take that money and spend it on another one, and there's no guarantee that the other one's going to fit in. So why not give the one that you've got in-house, give that one a go first before you make a decision?
Interesting times ahead. As BX Gunner says here, Gabriel Jesus' last goal was against Tottenham on October 1st. So it's been quite a few months since Gabriel Jesus has scored. And if he could cap this season off, these last 10 games with, as you say, Stan, 5 goals in 10, something like this, that will be a good contribution in between the injury that he's had for, I think, 100 days out. Eddie Nketiah has not really filled his boots either. And Trossard is more of an assister rather than scoring. The real strength of this team has been, as we know, our leading goal scorer, Gabriel Martinelli, and Bukayo Saka, with Erdegaard chipping in as well,
I
Alonso.
don't know. I think Trossard has a go at goal. He had a couple of goals disallowed.
Yep.
He's scored some good goals. He's got a good eye. He's got a good eye for goal. You may even say maybe better than Jesus, but Jesus gets in some good positions, but sometimes he hits it straight at the keeper.
He can weigh in for sure. But as you're laying the place for following Balogun, he could be the most prolific of those 4 players for that position next season. Who knows? The most efficient, maybe. You know what I mean? Craig said, if we avoid defeat to Liverpool and City, then I believe the title will be ours. Fingers crossed. There's a little bit of room for some draws here and there. We've only drawn 3 games, so I think we're going to draw some of these tough away games as well. Aim to win the games, but take draws here and there. Tommy Tickles will eliminate them from the Champions League. That's Bayern Munich versus City. Don't be fooled, Arsenal fans. City dropped a lot of points in the last 10 games last season. They were 13 ahead of Liverpool, and Liverpool nearly caught them. I think, though, Don Juan, that was a consequence of their Champions League involvement. And if you're saying Arsenal might do the same, it won't be because of the Champions League or European involvement. It'll maybe because they're tough. We've pretty much left tough away games for ourselves in Liverpool, Newcastle, and Manchester City. So those are tough games coming up. And these next 10 games are going to be the proof. The proof is in the eating of the pie or the pudding, right? Difference between Arsenal and City is that City have been there and done it. We haven't. We have Gabriel Jesus. We have Zinchenko. We have Thomas Partey, who's been involved in a title win as well with Atletico. We have Erdegaard, who's been involved with being the captain of Norway.
Emil Smith-Rowe as well was in the under-21s.
Do you think we have enough nous for this run-in, Stan? Do you think we have Jorginho, the experience of playing under pressure of needing 3 points and knowing that the pressure is mounting on your shoulders? You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. He brings that experience in. But I was just saying as well, another player that I actually think that the international break did a lot of good for was Emil Smith-Rowe, because he actually needed some game time because he's been a little bit off the ball since coming back from his injury, and he had a good game by all accounts.
Yeah, scored a goal for the under-21s. Yep,
yeah,
indeed. What about winning pens? Yeah, Gabriel Jesus can probably win pen. He's probably the best penalty winner of those 3 players, Stan. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Gabriel Jesus, he puts his foot there where defenders will try to clear balls. If Roman Reigns wins next Sunday, don't know what that means. Stan knows what that means. It's
WrestleMania.
A wrestling term. There is no Jesus Trossard problem. Trossard simply takes Xhaka's place, as Xhaka is our weakest player up front. Tell Mikel Arteta, though, to do that.
He scored 3 goals in his last 3 games now. He scored on international duty as well. And interestingly enough, I was reading that they're now playing him as a number 10, Granit Xhaka, where before he was playing as a number 6. So they've obviously looked at what he's been doing at Arsenal, and is they playing him as a number 10, and he scored.
They've taken notice of what Arsenal have been doing, and you've been playing like this all season, Granit. So you're going to play as a number 10 for us and get into the box and have some chances. And as you said, Stan, he scored. Eddie isn't up to the standard we are heading towards. I think we've given him chances. He can do a job for a certain amount of games, as you said, Stan, but he's not going to be our mainstay. Trossard is a winger for Don Juan. Yeah, but if we can get over the line here with Trossard playing that number 9 position, or Jesus
He
with
said that
Martinelli,
he said that his favourite position is behind the striker in the pocket. So that would be maybe Odegaard's position.
yeah,
I
but
wouldn't mind seeing.
He's not going to get there, is he, Stan?
No, I wouldn't mind seeing him in Xhaka's position.
Yeah, a left 8. He could be the front runner because fair to say, Teabag is not really taking that position as his own right now.
Not yet, not quite.
Not
no.
yet. Stephen said, as I've been saying since January, our attacking 5 should be Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, Odegaard, and Saka. Try and defend against that. Who's your substitute out of that bunch, though, Stan? Between Trossard and Jesus, maybe. You know, who's sitting on the bench out of those 5? Well, unless we're playing Odegaard and Trossard as the 2 eights, right?
I think maybe he's put Trossard in the Xhaka. Xhaka's missing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no Xhaka there. So he wants to field all of those at the same time.
Okay, and what part of the game is Xhaka better at? Trossard is quicker, has better brain. Listen, we agree with you. Stan and I have been talking about Trossard for months before he came in January. We've probably been talking about him since September, October. You know, maybe you've been talking about him, thinking about him before then. But a few months before he came to Arsenal, we were like, what about Leandro Trossard? He's good for Brighton. Let's go get him. But he sort of impressed me a little bit more, Stan. What he's played for Arsenal in these last few games, he's really impressed me. His vision.
Well, look what's happened to him. You know, when he started the season, at the beginning of the season, he didn't have any idea that he was going to be in a title race.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
You know,
he's booting up for Brighton. He's beaten Man United, I think, on the opening day of the season at Old Trafford. Great stuff for him, but
scored a hat-trick against Liverpool.
Scored a hat-trick against Liverpool. He's playing for Brighton. And yes, I think when you're playing for Brighton, you know if you play well, you're going to get a move to a better club.
But he falls out of his manager. But he falls out of his manager for whatever reason. Now he's not in a team, and he's probably thinking, "Oh, the fuck, what's going on now?" You know, I need to get back into the Brighton team. Next thing he knows, he's on his way to Arsenal, who are at the top of the league.
Yep, and he's been welcomed with open arms by the players there. He's talking about being very happy there now, and looking forward to these next 10 games. BX said, I want to see Trossard in Odegaard's position. I mean, that could be in a cup game. Odegaard's not going to play every game, that's for sure.
I think Trossard's also said that he's actually pleasantly surprised at how much game time he's been getting. He didn't think he was going to get as much game time as he has been getting, which shows that every time he comes on now, he's going to be chomping at the bit because he wants to stay. You know, once you've had a taste of it, you want to stay in and around it, don't you?
Exactly. Trossard plays on the left, not on the right. Yeah, but the 10 position, I don't think we play with a 10 per se. It's 2 8s now in a 4-3-3 position.
Yeah.
I watched the City versus Palace game. City were never going to score an open play. I think it's City who fall off, not Arsenal. Alonso, Stan is convincing me. I'm feeling more and more confident about going to Anfield. Not overlooking Leeds, you know, but we have to beat Leeds at home. But going to Anfield, Arsenal can go there and maintain possession. And I think we might have enough now talking about Jesus, Trossard, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard. We have a lot going forward that we could score goals at Anfield.
Yeah, even Xhaka could score a goal at Anfield.
Even Granit Xhaka, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I think, like we all said, you know, it comes in cycles, and I think, you know, as a team, I think we're much better now than Liverpool are. And they made some good signings in this season, and they didn't hope that if we come to this point where they have Darwin Nunez and Cody Gakpo, and it's taken a while to get adjusted to Premier League. So I think that you have to use that against them, like we did in the first game. Granted, Cody Gakpo didn't play that game, but we kind of took it to them. And, I think we're much better now than we were then defensively. I hope that Saliba's injury is not that bad. I haven't heard much about his injury. But I think moving forward, I think, Easter Sunday, I think, we could get a win there. Granted,
Easter Sunday. Yeah.
Flanders is a tough place to play, obviously, but if they control the game from the start, I think they have a chance.
Yeah, that game will be on Easter Sunday, right?
Yeah.
All right. Don Juan said, I watched the City. Yeah, I read that one already. I watched the City game. Okay. In what part of the game is Xhaka better at? Trossard is quicker, has a better brain. Definitely. I think we might be able to get some more goals and assists the closer we play Trossard to that 9, to our wingers. I think I just saw a lot of the way he's able to bring Martinelli into the game, the way he's able to bring Saka into the game. We might need Trossard closer in that 9 position. Xhaka leadership and game management is key. He knows the position. Trossard ain't an 8. Xhaka may have scored 3 goals, but he also cost us that one with that shy pass to Jorginho. And you're talking about that chip from the Sporting Lisbon player. Yes, he gave the ball away, but the chap still had the chip, Ramsdale, from 50, 40 yards, whatever it was. And, it was 1 in a million.
It's not like it's not like giving the ball away on the edge of the box.
No. It was unfortunate. It was a great hit from the player, and Ramsdale didn't have the footwork, in my opinion, to get back. That's maybe a bit critical of Ramsdale. Listen, in any goal, we can always blame somebody. We have to blame somebody because goals are avoidable. This is the best I've felt going to Anfield since pre-Klopp. Okay, so let's round up on the Jesus versus Trossard. Stan, what do you think is the best option? What are you picking as your 9 for these 10 games? We've talked about it.
I would start with Jesus.
Okay.
But that you get sort of like maybe 60 minutes into a game, that you've got that option to bring on a Trossard.
Mm-hmm.
And Trossard comes on and then he makes something happen, then that gives you something to think about for the next one. But the reason I would start with Jesus initially is because of one of the qualities that he has is that he has the mentality of someone that has won leagues.
Right.
He has that experience, which hopefully when he's on the field, that kind of like permeates into the rest of the squad somehow. So he has it in the edge that way. But as I say, it's brilliant to know that 60 minutes in, and he might need something a bit different, and he's struggling. Mm-hmm. You've got someone like Trossard that can come in and he could revitalize.
Yeah, it really. I'm trying to make it A or B, and it really could be A B or B A. You know what I mean? When it comes to those 2 options, it could be the 1-2 punch. Alonso, what are your thoughts on Trossard, Jesus, Eddie? We'll round out this section.
I was saying before, like they each bring something to the table,
mm-hmm.
and it'd be kind of cool if they all started up front to see how they do, and give Saka and Martinelli a break, I guess. But with that said, I think we're very lucky to have Trossard. I think he brings a little bit better qualities than Jesus. Like Stan was saying, that you can compare both of them, and they kind of play the same kind of way where they could strike at any moment, but yet they could also very good passes as well. And Eddie Nketiah can score. He's more like a poacher, I guess,
Mhm.
kind of striker. But then we're like I said, we now have three strikers now, kind of where they could each bring us something, and it's good for it's good for competition because we haven't had that in a very long time. So, and
Mhm.
they could both and Jesus and Trezor can play on the wing too. So, yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm calling them the Hydra right now. It's Eddie Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus, and Trossard. And Trossard could find himself on the left, could find himself left 8. Jesus' physicality and know-how on nous in a title race could be important. Craig says since 2016, Liverpool aggregate score against Arsenal 22-4. That is shocking. Let's hope we can do something about that at Anfield. And turn that tide around. Don Juan Trossard spent most of his time as a left 8 before he came to Arsenal. Okay, we're going to pivot to the next section, and it's pretty much Mesut Ozil has announced his retirement, but I'm going to ask the question. Would Mesut Ozil get into this current lineup? And we know how Mikel Arteta dealt with Nicola Pepe, I'm not saying Pepe is the same as Ozil, but I think Pepe didn't work. Alonso, I know you're an admirer of Ozil, and we're going to be civil about this because at least I am. Stan hopefully will be civil about it as well and courteous in the discussion. And also, Stan, having your say about it as well. But Alonso, Mesut Ozil announced his retirement. How do you feel
I
about
thought he'd retired when he was still with us, but there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting for that one. Yeah. How do you package all of this, Alonso?
I like Mesut Ozil. I remember the day that he was signed to us, and how Arsene Wenger said we're going to sign some player we just don't know. He didn't quite know how to announce it. It was that big, right? And I remember the fandom that the fans at the Emirates had, and it was announced that we signed Mesut Ozil. And I liked him at Real Madrid, and I liked him at um,
Arsenal.
his German club. I think is where I first noticed that he was the real deal.
Wolfsburg, I think, right?
Yeah, and no, it was yeah. And anyway, so my initial thoughts were who did you have to work with, right? Because Giroud isn't Benzema, or he wasn't Higuain kind of a guy, right? And then you look at the flanks. You had Diego Walcott, you had Sanchez, which came a year later. So you had Podolski there, and he didn't really have the talent that he had when he was with Real Madrid. So I think his best football was played at Real Madrid, and when he came to Arsenal, the whole we as fans had a lot of hopes for him to do well, and he did. He brought us FA Cups. He was very
Yes.
instrumental in his third season here, right? His second season when we finished second
Yeah.
behind Leicester,
Mm-hmm.
and we beat Leicester twice. And unfortunately, his last, I guess, 3 years here weren't very good as far as his character, and he just became lazy. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, that's what hurt his Arsenal career at the end. And that's, I think, how he'll be remembered by, unfortunately. Um, but I think his German national club really screwed him over. I think he was really the scapegoat, which he shouldn't have never been. And I think it caused him to drop off at Arsenal, unfortunately. And we all know the falling out with Emery and then now Arteta. But I kind of liked him, and I always remember the good times with Arsenal. I think he was really you didn't see the best of him as an Ozil at Arsenal, which is kind of disappointing. But you saw flashes, and he wanted more of that, and unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition. So I think it's a shame that how he ended his career here, but he did some good things here, I think, also.
Yeah. I'm going to have my say and then pass it over to Stan.
Hang on. BX says, I'll be back in 5 minutes when the spineless bum talk is done. Mate, I think it's going to take a bit longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, listen, a lot of what you said, Alonso, rings true. The takeaway is it's a pity how it ended, and maybe Arsene Wenger has some blame in this because he enabled him in so many ways. Aaron Ramsey was so famously said that he was like teacher's pet. Mesut Ozil would miss many games because of a suspected back injury, leg injury. The tough games he would go missing in. Listen, I think he did a lot for us in the first few years, Alonso. Getting us some trophies after that drought that you talked about. It was 9 years before we won FA Cups, but I think the biggest thing we could say was he was not as bad as a Spurs player, but not as good as the Invincibles. He didn't inspire the team to win league titles, and maybe it wasn't all his fault. Olivier Giroud didn't deliver in that year that you talked about against Leicester City. We didn't beat down the door and win the league in 2016 against Leicester, but he did inspire Arsenal to 3 cup wins, 3 FA Cup wins, and that's maybe the best that Arsenal could be. We were a cup team in those years, and maybe it was a sliding doors moment with Arsene Wenger coming to the end of his time, and the political falling outs with Ozil and the club, forced Emery to do things that maybe Emery didn't even want to do, and Mikel Arteta had to diminish his playing minutes. So, Alonso, before we go back to Stan, do you have any rebuttals to that? Because, did I say anything wrong, or do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the good times, right, and you think about the goals that he was a part of, or the goals he was making, the assists were Ozil-esque, right? And you think about the Leicester goals back in 2017, I believe, 2018, something like that. And you saw this is prime Ozil. And you remember the free kick against Leicester, where Danny Welbeck hit that header at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
And you think about all kind of moves he made and all that stuff that, it's kind of disappointing because, I don't know, it was a shame at part. And with Germany, he just felt really, really down about himself at that point. So he didn't really want to play anymore, but he still, that I think crushed him and his mentality, and that's when he became lazy, I believe. You saw some weaknesses there.
I think some of the things you were saying is like their highlights, right? Their highlight reels of some of the memories. Memories are not sustainable. They didn't sustain a Premier League title run, and I think his performances were a little bit up and down. And as Stephen said here, the Ozil's second contract would not get near our starting 11. His first 2 years, yes, but after that, no. I think some part of that was the clique as well. Don Juan mentions the clique within the dressing room, the German clique, and it sort of fed into the social club that we had and the lack of a winning mentality. I think that we were just a cup team at the time. But, Stan is sitting here smiling a little bit because he's compiled his dossier.
Being like Shawn Michaels in the dressing room with his German clique. Going, you're sweet. But for me, Mesut Ozil at the very beginning, when I read the news that we were signing him, I was excited as anybody else. Could believe it. Wow. Getting Mesut Ozil, World Cup winner from Real Madrid. Still got sort of like some, still got something in the tank as well. He wasn't past his sell-by date, age-wise or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I remember Cristiano Ronaldo saying how annoyed he was that they'd sold him. He was furious that they sold him, which is, again, right, you're thinking, well, that's a good reference to have when somebody like that is saying, like, why are we getting rid of this guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not getting like someone that's past their prime and a bit of rubbish. But by the end of it, I was sick of the sight of him, to be honest with you. For me, he will go down as the worst player to ever put on the Arsenal shirt. And I'm not, when I say that, that's not just about what you do on the pitch. There's also many facets to that. As somebody said earlier, he almost destroyed our club. The best thing that could have happened to us is that when we got rid of Sanchez, he should have gone at the same time as well. And that's when we should have started.
Yeah, it was at the time. It was like, we can't sell both of these players, Alexis Sanchez.
Yes, we could have. That was my argument.
Ozil.
My argument was there's a bigger thing at stake here. Yes, we could have, and we need to not give him a contract for what we gave him. So
for me, there's 4 things that you will rate every player on. It's ability. It's how much.
That night in Ludogorets, though. Oh.
Yeah, look, people talk about the goal against Ludogorets. It was the Europa League. You're playing a standard below the Premier League for sure.
Give me an atlas now. I couldn't find Ludogorets for you.
I would say his goal against Liverpool was the better goal, the 3-3, where he chopped the ball over the goalkeeper. But there's 4 things you're going to judge a player on: ability, how much he applies that ability, his output, in goals and assists, how long he's going to be able to play in his career, that he's not injured all the time, and what end product do you have from your career? What trophies do you have to show for your career? And he didn't check all the boxes for me.
I also think that Mikel Arteta was vindicated in getting him out of the club as quickly as he could, because look at what happened after when he went to Turkey, having to go to 2 clubs, and just it's a sad end. And like somebody said, right, he did at the beginning, help win some trophies for us, but you're always remembered for how you leave. He's a bit like Arthur Fowler off of EastEnders. It doesn't matter how much good that he did in the community, people are always going to remember that Arthur nicked the Christmas club money. That's all they're going to remember about him.
Good evening, Gunnar Land. Not long home from work. Good evening, gang. We're talking about MO versus MO. Mesut Ozil versus Martin Odegaard. And we're on the Ozil part of it right now. Alonso, he came to a full Arsenal fan base excited about him joining in 2013, I believe it was.
Very much so.
By the time it got to 2021, a large percentage of us were okay with him leaving and moving on.
It was such a saga.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a shame. I really wanted to root for the guy to change it around. I think, the one of his worst games, I think, was the Europa League final against Chelsea. He was very lazy. It showed. He was like, well, it was like we got blown out that game, and part of it was because Mesut Ozil didn't perform. He didn't want to play that game. He was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm mentally kicked out. It's a shame, really, because he had all the tools to be a world-class player. He could have been a legend for us if he wanted to, but yet he decided that he didn't cut the mustard. He didn't cut the mustard, I guess. And at the end of it, it is what it is. He walked out, and the club is better for it. But I did like Mesut Ozil. I thought that he was a very class talent. And that's the risk you take, I guess.
Second round.
In my mind, Mesut Ozil now shares a prison cell with Robin van Persie.
You listen. Does it help that he is he a fan of the Gunners? The Gunners.
I think so.
I just don't
Whereas
care.
Van Persie is more Man United, and Mesut Ozil would never go to another British club, English club. You know what I mean?
I don't care.
I care.
If he had not won, if Ozil had not won,
I'm joking, man.
so Stan, if Ozil
Can I
had
just
not
be
won,
like, I just want to be plain about this, right? I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one that has this, but you know, you have like maybe have a list of football players that you just take a dislike to. I know that we don't know them personally. I know that they probably do lots of charitable things and blah blah blah, but you know, you can just take a dislike to someone. Maybe like you take a dislike to an actor. Oh, I don't like that guy. Yeah, I've got a list of them. I mean, I've got Joey Barton's on that list. Yeah, he's a footballer that I've just never liked. Joey Barton. But at the top of that list is Mesut Ozil. I only have to see a picture of him and my piss starts to boil. I don't know why. I wish I could let it go. I just have a dislike against him. And it's because what somebody said earlier, I think he almost crippled our club.
Yeah,
Could have almost
350,000 a week.
crippled it.
350,000 a week.
That's not acceptable to me.
For me, it was the application was not there. You had all of the ability, all of the talent, but you didn't apply it. You didn't have the application. Whenever tough games would come up, whether it was legitimate or not, you seemed to be injured quite a lot of the time. And, you know, it started off well, but notwithstanding the 3 FA Cups, which, you know, at the time.
After Arsene Wenger, you know, who obviously was, I would say, you know, indulging him, mollycoddling. Our boss, I can't come into training on Wednesday. I've got to take the dogs to the vet. Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, cheers. And everyone else is coming in,
and
you know. And then what was it? Remember, Freddie took over for a while. He couldn't work out with Freddie.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't get on with lovely Freddie. And then you got Unai Emery coming. Another man comes in with other personality, gives him a go, tries to work with him, can't work that out either. And then Mikel Arteta comes in, an ex-teammate of his, someone that he knows, who he used to sit in the locker room with. That can't work either. He gets rid of him. He goes to Turkey to play for the club of his, you know, my grandfather's club or whatever it is, you know, before he hangs up his boots. They don't want him after a while because he's not putting in the application. Then he goes to somewhere else. I mean, there's a pattern, isn't there? And for me, and this is only just an opinion, I don't know. Maybe when you've kind of like got to the top of the tree or top of the mountain, quite young in your age, and you've won a World Cup and you've won, you know, lots of medals and that, maybe you lose a bit of the fizz. I don't know. Not everybody, but maybe certain people. What now? What do I do now? What's left? I don't know.
Yeah. So the best thing we can say was in Spurs' best time, in their golden era, we were able to win some FA Cups. And Mesut Ozil did help us win some of those cups, has got to be said. But
Wait. What point did Spurs have a golden era?
it's over now. It's over now, mate. It's Kane will be leaving soon. And they apparently had their golden era the last 5 or 6 years when they finished above us in the league, but never were able to win a trophy. Now, that's Mesut Ozil. Any final words on Mesut Ozil? Because we're going to compare, not that it's fair to compare, but I'm going to do it with Erdegaard. Any final words on Ozil?
Good riddance.
Good riddance.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, look. Do you feel, Alonso, that Mesut Ozil would now get into this Arsenal team right now? You know, even in his heyday, let's say the first 2 years.
On a motivated Mesut Ozil, yes.
Do you think Mikel Arteta would want him to work? You know what I mean?
Of course.
And would he work for Mikel Arteta in this team now? You know what I mean?
In his heyday, you know, maybe when he's got it all out in front of him, and you know, when he was playing in the what was that first team he played for in Germany? Schalke.
No, it was.
He was forging his way then, wasn't he? You know, he wants to get noticed. You know, you're young in the game, you're hungry. You know, if we had a Mesut Ozil at that stage, and he could have been molded, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying that he was a rubbish footballer by any long chalk. I mean, his record speaks for itself when he was playing in the Spanish league, right? You know, his assist record around Europe.
I
I
think.
didn't remember the end of it, and I don't like that.
I think if you love silky football play, you're going to love Mesut Ozil, but you have to look as well at the application. And for a lot of his career at Arsenal, he didn't have the application.
Also,
He
the
didn't
game
have
is played,
that
right? He plays in a position now that is slightly outdated in today's game.
Yeah.
As well. You know, you don't have that luxury player anymore. You don't have two up front with somebody like Ozil behind them, who's sort of like, you know, that's your area of the pitch. Just stay there. You don't need to track back. You know, you'll get the ball there and you'll make it happen for the guys who put in front of you. That doesn't really happen now. You know, you've got two eights. You've got to come back and help out.
Yeah. Don Juan said Ozil doesn't track back. Arteta don't like that. And this is a fair point from Mr. Tom. And I set it up this way, comparing a guy that left acrimoniously against the player that is currently playing well. I wonder how that will turn out. Yeah. But, you know, Martin Odegaard has got to win some things as well. You got to judge a player on these four things.
He's the people's champion.
Ability, you got to compare him on ability. Got to compare him on
the most electrifying man in sports entertainment today.
Who? Or Odegaard?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to compare him on what he's going to do with his ability, how long he's going to be fit and in the game to affect the game, and the end product being trophies. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit disingenuous. Martin Odegaard versus Mesut Ozil, but I think Martin Odegaard would be privileged to be talked about in the same way as well as Mesut Ozil.
The good thing about Martin Odegaard is that we know now that, you know, how old is he? 22, right? 22?
Yeah, 23, right? I think.
Okay. When he's like 26 or whatever, and he's going to be getting into his like proper, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, his full powers. It's not like, oh, we're going to lose him to Real Madrid, because he's already done that, and he's probably like, nah, you know. So that's off the table, hopefully, and they can try and come back for him. But he seems like someone that, if everything's working well where it is, then you know.
Yeah, Martin Odegaard
had a lot of traveling already, right? He's had a lot of traveling for a young man, and I think he's looking to to have some roots.
Hey, Stan, was Arteta? Did Arteta tell Ozil, "Get out of my club, Emirates"?
Martin Odegaard is not the Rock, says Mr. Tom, whatever that means, you know. But
because I was referring to him as the people's champion.
The people's champion.
The Rock.
All right, so we talked a lot about Mesut Ozil, and Martin Odegaard now is a player playing in a similar team. Maybe he's a right 8, Stan. He's not a number 10. So maybe I can't compare him exactly. But, you know, we can see Odegaard flourishing in this team because he works hard, right?
I was surprised when he got given the captain's armband at first. You know, I thought, you know, I wasn't sure about that, but it seems to be working. And something that I put out on Twitter just yesterday, and it's like, I wish we could swap Odegaard's shirt number with ESR's. I think it's just I just have this. I have a weird hang up about squad numbers. I do have this weird thing about squad numbers, but I think Odegaard would look much better with the number 10 on his back. And not only that, you know, he's on the pitch a lot more for a start, so we get to see it a lot more. But I think that, you know, we're pinching ourselves now what he's doing at the age of 22, 23. And this is someone that we managed to get from Real Madrid for only 35 million. I think that come when he's like 25, 26, we're going to be like the ceiling that he's going to be able to reach, I think, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that he is a professional that wants to continually improve. I think that we've really got a player on our hands.
We started out this season looking at the team huddles, and Granit Xhaka seemed to be very vocal in those team huddles, like overstepping his mark a little bit, right, Stan?
If you look at like the reputation and standing in the game that Kevin De Bruyne currently has for the way that he plays for his position, and the way that he's lauded and recognised globally for what he does, I think in the not near to future, I think Martin Odegaard could be someone that has a similar reputation and sort of standing within the game for the way that he plays the game and the way that his peers will notice that and talk about that a lot and praise him.
It seemed difficult for me last season to put Martin Odegaard up against the Kevin De Bruyne, but Kevin De Bruyne has had a mixed season, hasn't been as good maybe, and Odegaard has definitely stepped up ever since that Bournemouth game when it was asked of him to score more goals, and now he's got something
I
like
think
9
that's
or
a bit
10.
unfair. I think De Bruyne has had a pretty good season. I mean, a lot of those goals that Haaland scores, they don't happen by themselves. Someone's got to get the ball to him, and he's been involved.
Yeah,
You know, but sometimes over time there's a handing of the torch. It's not like they're the same age competing. You've got one now that's sort of like going into the twilight of their career, and you've got this young man now who's coming in and making a noise.
That's fair. So with Odegaard, I never thought I could feel that I could talk like him in the same breath as Kevin De Bruyne, but he's doing it this season, right? We just focus on Martin Odegaard. The other thing, looking at the start of the season, we had Odegaard, and we couldn't convince. We talked about the Norway connection. Bring Haaland to the Emirates. Couldn't happen. Wasn't going to happen. He was always going to go to City. But I just thought that Haaland would automatically deliver the title to City and Odegaard would be sitting in second place, But it looks like maybe Odegaard may be the champion this year. Bukayo Saka may be the champion when Haaland has scored so many goals. It just seems crazy to think that way. And listen, not to Eddie Nketiah could be part of a title-winning team as well. Not to denigrate Eddie, Mr. Tom, but it seems counter to logic, right? Now, we talked about also the ultimate teammates, the ultimate squad members. Rob Holding being one of them, El Neni being one of them. And I think Zinchenko talked about this during this interlull. You need squad players who are going to be a part of the team. If they're not playing, yeah, Alonso.
Even Yaya Sanogo can get a shot too.
Bring Yaya Sanogo, bring Shimak back. We could give them some medals by the end of the season. But these are players that, as Stan said, Rob Holding came in against Crystal Palace and he may have to play against Leeds. But we hope it's not going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 games. And Saliba does come back from injury for that Liverpool game. But Rob Holding can play a part, right, Stan?
Yeah. As I say,
a limited role.
In a limited role, that's the thing. In a limited role, over a long period of time, it can be it can start to get a little bit creaky.
Yeah. All right. So, is there any other bits and pieces we want to talk about from the interlull? Anything going on? People have been talking about Thomas Partey, and all I'm going to say about it is that there's been no investigation yet. There's been no alleged, guilt or, so until that point, no charges have come. And it's all very, very much like a Premier League footballer, has been Bale has been paid 3 times throughout the season. So there's no way we can address anything until anything comes to light. Just wanted to say that, you know what I mean?
So for me, it's like, okay, there's a Premier League footballer, as we know, and there's been bail that's been set 3 times, and there's an ongoing investigation into this footballer who hasn't been named for whatever reasons. And I just think, although the allegations aren't nice, I would imagine for anyone to have against them, the justice system means that you're innocent until proven guilty. You're not guilty, and then you have to try and prove your innocence. So all I can say is until there are charges, when charges are made against this Premier League footballer, then maybe then the name is released, and the club, whoever that player plays for, will make a decision at that point. But it's innocent until proven guilty, and that hasn't happened yet. So does that mean that this Premier League footballer has to stay in limbo until that happens, or should they be allowed to work and get on with their lives? Because if they are proven innocent, that's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as Mr. Tom says, I believe in innocent until proven guilty. Definitely. Getting back to Eddie a little bit, Eddie's goal against the Scum was massive and was quickly forgotten by the people who only liked the flavor of the week. Remember Reece Nelson? He scored, I think, 2 goals against Man United, being the Scum as well. Haaland and the Kevin De Bruyne will finish the way Brady and Moss finished against the Giants. LOL. Okay. I think De Bruyne to Haaland is the biggest assist scorer combo this season, to be fair. And I think Kevin De Bruyne has had to alter his game slightly. Maybe not be having a great season, but we still can't fully shake City off. Yeah, we have to be wary of City, and this is the only way we can win this league title, is doing it from the front. Alonso, you got any thoughts to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that we have enough leaders on the team to where when things don't go our way early on in games, that they crumble. And I think that they could lean on that a little bit. And they're shown in the past that once we get a goal down, that we can bounce back. But I think it's important that we keep the momentum, that Arsenal keep the momentum going, in hopes that we can win a Premier League trophy, and not hope that, these kids, because they're very young, they're still young to where the pressure could get to them. But I think we have enough leaders that when things get bad, then they can calm down. But that said, it'd be an exciting time. It's still an exciting time, I think, for Arsenal, to see them grow to become their own player. So yeah, I hope that the fun continues.
Yeah,
just before we move on, looking at what we were talking about, Kevin De Bruyne.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at last season, he played 30 matches in the Premier League and he scored 15 goals and got 8 assists. But this season, so far on 25 matches, he's only scored 4 goals, but he scored 12 assists. So he's had to change his game, I suppose, there to accommodate now for the goal machine that is Haaland. So absolutely. The stats are similarly around about the same. Goal involvements he's just the goals now have been exchanged for more assists.
Yeah, and I think we've been watching that. Maybe they've had to adjust to that as well. That's something they've consciously done. They went and got Haaland, and they had to adjust their playing style to suit him.
Because they had Aguero, right? And then he was gone for a couple of seasons. So I suppose they started playing in a different way, which looked successful for them. Which saw Kevin De Bruyne, as you see there, chipping in with 15 goals.
Yep.
But now they've had to readjust the way that they're playing.
Yeah, and they've moved players on to get. I think financial fair play has been harping on them in the last few seasons. They've moved Sterling to Chelsea. We don't hear about Sterling too much more.
Well, that's another investigation that's pending. That's another thing that they've got to deal with, right? That hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hasn't gone away. They've moved Zinchenko. They've moved Gabriel Jesus. The only place that they are going to get money for is not going to be in Europe. It's going to be within the Premier League, and I think we're going to see more and more of the better teams, like Arsenal. If we do sell Kieran Tierney or Samuel Lokonga, it's probably going to be a mid-table team in England. It's probably going to be a Newcastle. Not that they're mid-table. They're knocking on the door of top 4 right now. It's going to be a Newcastle. It's going to be a Brighton or a Brentford are one of those teams. But so yeah, let's see if anyone is taking the pin. We have one person in there right now, so see if anyone else will be joining. Kahoot pin 350 9039, and we will talk about maybe the top 4 race before we leave as well. But there's no other takers for Kahoot. There we go. We got somebody getting in there now. Conte Syrup is in. So we got 2 people in there right now. So grab the pin, download the app, grab the pin, and play an interactive game, Kahoot quiz. Sam Greenwood said at one point City are going to find their new rhythm with Haaland, and then we're going to need to have these 5 points. I agree, Sam. We have very difficult games coming up, as we talked about earlier in the podcast. And I think we're going to need all of these 8 points. City had that game in hand. I'm really hoping Liverpool can do something. Saliba's hairline, I'm really hoping City...
I came back and you was all on your own.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Alonso's here and there. We got some chocolates. All right. All right, we got 3 people in Kahoot. Grab the pen, jump in. Let's play a game. So yeah, talk a little bit about the rules as well at the end as well. We'll get a quick Kahoot game in. It is a
right.
4 people are in right now. Yes, Alonso. Yes.
How do you play Kahoot? Like, do I download an app or something?
Download the app on your iPhone, as I understand it, and if you watch the quiz that we run here, and you don't really have to do too much to get into pick the pen, join the game, and you have 4 color coded choice to pick for your answer.
No, I'm gonna play.
So we got 6 people in. Martin Truex. What's going on with Martin Truex?
I don't know, but start soon.
While we're doing this, a little bit of housekeeping.
You're in a shack.
No. Just something completely different. A friend of ours, a friend of the channel, Tanner, the bearded gooner. I'm sure some of you know him. He's had a little bit of a plight at the moment, and one of his dogs, Kenzie, is not very well at all. It could be, a little bit of touch and go. So there is a GoFundMe page. If you go to his Twitter page and you want to, drop him a $5 or $10 or something to help him out, I'm sure that it would be appreciated. So I just wanted to put that out there on behalf of Tanner at the
donate.
Bearded Gooner.
He's got some beagles, right, Stan?
Yeah.
He's got some beagles, and one is having health issues. So please do donate. In about 10 seconds, we're going to get this going. We got Thunder Party, Mr. McMahon, Erdegaard's ankle, Stephen O.T., Saliba's hairline, Conte's syrup, Mr. Tom Bebe. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. And please do. I'll try and leave the link. I'll try and find that link, Stan, and put it in the description for Tanner GoFundMe page. Here we go. It's called the Interlull quiz. All right. Who do the Arsenal ladies face in a big Champions League game this week?
Where it is. Can I answer?
Arsenal ladies. No, you can answer in about 15 seconds. AC Milan, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, or Copenhagen?
Bayern Munich.
Okay. The answer was Bayern Munich. Everyone answered. There you go. Right. 6 correct answers. Alonso, you knew that, right?
Yeah.
1-0 down from the first leg.
Oh.
Mr. McMahon in the lead. Conte Syrup second. Thunder Party is here. Saliba's hairline 4th. And Erdegaard's ankle in 5th. Okay. We have good participation today. We've got 7 people in. What year was the Premier League founded? 1888, 1912, 1992, or the year 2000?
Oh shit!
What year was the Premier League founded?
No, man.
Premier League. Are you that one person that picked 1888?
I might be.
Stan? Okay, 1992 was the correct answer.
God
Conte
damn
Syrup
it!
into the lead. Thunder Party second. Erdegaard's ankle third.
Arrgh.
All right. True or false? This is easy. True or false? Crystal Palace was Arsenal's first league game this season.
Ooh.
True or false? Crystal Palace was the first game this season. 7 correct answers. Yes, it was. All right. Conte Syrup maintains the lead. Thunder Party close second. Erdegaard's ankle third. Saliba's hairline fourth. And
I
Mr.
want to
Tom
go first.
in fifth place. Who scored and assisted for the first goal at Selhurst Park on that night? Who scored and assisted for the first goal? Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, Zinchenko, Saka, Erdegaard. Who scored the goal and who assisted for that first goal? Correct answer was Martinelli and Zinchenko. Corner came in. Zinchenko's header. Martinelli put it in from his head as well. Thunder Party, first place. Saliba's in second. Conte Syrup, third. Erdegaard's ankle, fourth. And Mr. Tom Bebe is in fifth place.
This is not bad.
What is the longest recorded headed goal in world football? This is a tough one. You might have to guess this one. What was the longest recorded headed goal in world football? 18 meters, 58 meters, 42 meters, or 65 meters?
I'm going to go ahead and go, guys. I see you.
5 correct answers with 58 meters. It was Jone Salmionson. Alonso, thanks for joining us today.
See you later.
Take care. Are you
See
going
guys.
to go see the race, Alonso? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm going to see it live on TV.
Okay. It was
See you guys.
Jonas.
Bye.
Thanks, Alonso. Cheers. First place is Thunder Party. Second, Saliba's hairline. Third, Conte Syrup. Mr. McMahon in fourth, and Erdegaard's ankle is in fifth place. Thunder Party has a streak with 5 correct answers in a row. Thunder Party has thundered to the lead. Who is the all-time record holder for matches played in the Premier League? Frank Lampard, Ryan Giggs, James Milner, or Gareth Barry? Who is the record? Are you playing, Stan?
No.
You're just learning. You're learning some trivia questions here. Who's the record holder? I've tried to trick some people with James Milner. They didn't take that bait. 2 people went for Ryan Giggs, but the answer was Gareth Barry. And 653 games, then Gareth Barry.
Oh.
Conte's Thunder Party in the lead. He's got 6 in a row now. Conte Syrup second. Close up third. Saliba's hairline. All right, we got 5 left. What was Patrick Vieira's first club in his playing career? Was it Caen? Was it Montpellier? Was it Rennes? Was it Monaco? Patrick Vieira's first club in his playing career. Where did he start out? Caen was the correct answer. 1 incorrect for Rennes, and 6 of you got it right. Thunder Party's maintaining his lead. Conte Syrup second. Saliba's hairline is trying to get in there. All right. Which player has not played for both Arsenal and Palace? Which player has not played for both these teams? Eddie Nketiah, Eddie McGoldrick, Ian Wright, or Emmanuel Adebayor? Remember Eddie McGoldrick, Stan?
Yeah, I do.
Flying down the wing for Arsenal. But did he play for Palace? We know Ian Wright played for both, right?
Yeah.
So the correct answer is Eddie Nketiah. He did not play for Palace, but he has played for Arsenal. The other three have played for Palace. Thunder Road is looking like he's got a decent lead that can't be catched right now. Conte Syrup is second. Mr. Tom in third place. Erdegaard close up fourth. 3 more to go. What is the combined goals scored for Arsenal in both games versus Crystal Palace? 4, 5, 6, or 7? Combine the two results. We beat them 2-0 at Selhurst Park, and we beat them 4-1 at home. So the answer is 6. 3 of you got 6 correct. Thunder Party in the lead. He may not have gotten that one. Thunder Party. Conte Syrup closing up Saliba's hairline in third place. And close between Mr. Tom Bebe and Erdegaard's ankle for fourth place. 2 left to go. Who has scored the most own goals in the Premier League? Richard Dunn, famous Irish international. Harry Maguire, English international. Martin Skirtle, I think he's Latvian. And Jamie Carragher, Liverpudlian, who scored the most own goals in the Premier League. The answer is Richard Dunn. He has put into his own net quite a few times. I think 8. I'm not sure, though. I think it's 8. Okay. Thunder Party is in the lead. Conte Syrup is second. Between those two for the win. Which Premier League team has the record for the lowest amount of points in a season? You might know that one, Stan. Sunderland, Derby County, Nottingham Forest, or Birmingham. I think this is the final question as well. Which Premier League team has the lowest amount of points in a season? 5 of you got Derby County correct. 2 went for Sunderland. So let's see how this finishes up. Mr. Tom in third place for once. He hasn't won this. Conte Syrup comes second. Congratulations to Thunder Party is the winner. So I believe that may be Thunder Road. I would think, right? Congratulations to Thunder Party for winning. And there we go. That concludes the Kahoot for another week. All right, Stan. So what else do you want to talk about? Anything else, or we'll just sign off here pretty soon?
Yeah, there's not really much else to talk about, is there? I don't think.
No. I mean, do you miss? You don't really like the international football too much, right?
No.
You miss what we call real football, right?
Yeah, I don't watch it much at all. Don't really care for it that much.
Do you have any interest in who finishes third and fourth? It's okay to say no.
As long as it's not Tottenham. I'd like Tottenham. Tottenham not to qualify for the Champions
League. Tottenham on the out. So then that leaves Newcastle, Liverpool, or United. Which 2 are getting in?
Yeah, who's getting in? Probably United. I don't really care, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean?
It's nice though, right? We're looking at the top, looking down.
Yeah.
And we don't have a horse in the race too much, right?
I just want us to take care of business.
Yep. Taking care of business means so Gary's looking. I know Gary wants 4 more wins, and that means beating Leeds. It means beating Liverpool, West Ham, and Southampton. And obviously he wants to win all of them, right? But the 4 wins before we face City again, you know?
Yeah, 95 points. That's what we need.
Yeah. The lag has screwed Sam over as usual. I answer lightning quick and only get 800 points. It sounds like a sob story. Do you think we will sign a big name, 100 million signing this summer?
Well, it feels to me that over the last couple of windows, Mikel Arteta has been itching to spend a large amount on a player. You know, Mudryk, Caicedo. I don't know. So maybe there's something on the cards with all that the Declan Rice chatter. But who knows? You know, who knows?
How do you look back at January now with that Mudryk thing? Just happy it never happened, right? We're happy that
Immensely.
Chelsea took him off our hands before we could do something that could have been catastrophic in a way, Stan.
Yeah, we bought players that can help us right now for the now. And
Yeah.
I think that was the key there, because we could be winning the league right now. You know?
Declan Rice, right? I think I want Declan Rice in the summer. Any thoughts? Caicedo, Declan Rice. There's a Lavia at Southampton that people are raving about.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I don't know. Is Declan Rice worth 100 million?
There's a steward's inquiry here. I think Declan Rice may be worth 100 million. Thank you. But what about the question on Arsenal Palace goal? What was it? A total Arsenal goals or aggregate goals for each? So I think my question was, what was the combined goals Arsenal scored versus Palace?
6.
I believe that's the wording. Yeah. Combined goals that Arsenal scored. Steward's inquiry on that one. Yeah, I think that's going to be the going rate, 100 million, Stan. And maybe we spend 100 million on Declan Rice, but then we bring Balogun back and maybe a couple of other loans to round out our squad. And then we've got El Neni, we've got Holding. You know, it's kind of like as we were for this coming season.
Yeah, but I mean, is it enough to only be adding one player? And we're going to be going into the season with 4 competitions.
Mm-hmm.
Is it enough?
We're
barely getting through now. So what I'm saying is, you know, are you going to spend 100 million on one player, or could you spend 100 million on a couple of players?
And I think we have been successful spending the Mudryk money, not even spending all that Mudryk money on Trossard, Jorginho, and Kivior, you know.
Yeah, who played 90 minutes for Poland, I believe.
Yeah, and wasn't it good to see him coming on in the Crystal Palace game as well and getting a few minutes?
Yeah,
know?
Because Gabriel Megalegs, even though his legs are mega, has been playing a lot of minutes this season.
He can't do it all. He cannot do it all.
You know, he needs to need a breather so that keep him fresh. 10 games to go. The
audacity of Sam, Mr. 5-second question. Yeah, definitely. Sam set up some cahoots with the short time span. Listen, we're going to wind things up pretty soon anyway. We've ran out of material to talk about. Can't be slacking in a bathtub with 5-second questions. Edu, will the storage wars bluff on Mudryk? West Ham has said they want a new British record fee for Rice. That means more than 100 million. They will pay that game.
Caicedo guy, who I never really knew much about, his stats are looking pretty good for this season.
Caicedo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Nix, welcome to the podcast. Declan Rice is worth every penny. I believe he is as well. And with Partey getting older and our midfield getting older, I think we need to
Is he a starter for England, Declan Rice?
He did, I think, yeah.
Yeah? How's he look? I mean, I don't really, you know.
I think he's a good
holding midfielder, isn't he?
He's a holding midfielder. I think he controls the middle pretty well, you know, for me. All right. I guess that's it. We'll wrap up the show there. We talked about Mesut Ozil versus Ødegaard. Whether that was
we did.
Disingenuous of me or not, but officially Mesut Ozil has retired. I know a lot of Arsenal fans really do value what he did for us, but I think he could have done more. He could have applied himself more and affected games more consistently. For
Christmas
me.
club money. Remember what I said about Arthur Fowler? You always remember how they go out.
Yeah, we talked about Jesus versus Trossard, and
We did.
I think we
Yes,
sort of
did.
came to the realization it doesn't have to be one or the other, Stan. It could be a good 1-2
No,
punch.
it doesn't have to be
You know what
one
I
or
mean?
the other.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we will leave it there. We talked a little bit about our season, but we'll be back Thursday
And we
night.
also spoke about a Premier League footballer, but we didn't name him. So just put that in as a disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly. Disclaimer. All right, we'll be back for the Thursday night forum. I'm going to quickly drop the backstage pass in there for anyone who does want to join us as well a little bit later, even though Stan may have to go immediately afterwards. I'll still be here, and football will be back, you know. Let me do this real quick, and then we'll close out. All right, there's the link in there. Come say hello if you wish to. With that, that's all we got to say, right, Stan? We'll close it out. Thanks everyone for being here.
Listening, everybody.
Go check out the Gooner Shack at Etsy, but more importantly, right now, go check out the GoFundMe page for Tanner and his canine. You know his they are like family. The pets, your family pet is very dear to you. So go spend a few quid and help Tanner out there as well on the GoFundMe.
Yeah, if you go on Twitter to his Twitter page, it's at, and then it's DA Bearded Gooner, at the Bearded Gooner.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the information there if you wish to help him out.
All right, a few pounds, a few sterling, a few dollars here and there will help immensely. Let me say that. All right, we're out of here. The Arsenal march into April is in earnest. We've been going well all season. Let's start picking up the pace into April now and get a win against Leeds. Cover your ears right now, Mr. Tom, if you're hearing this. A win against Leeds will be the perfect segue into our April when we go to Liverpool the following weekend. And Stan, you've convinced me that we can do something up at Anfield. So take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Slap a like on the video, and we'll see you on the next one on Thursday Night Forum. Take care.
Cheers,
Thank
everyone.
you, Stan. Thank you.